Yep.
How my business works, how Alameda India works.
Yes.
Is it the central, the heart of the business and the part that supports the business, the engine room of the business, is the cafe section, which makes up the majority of the space physically, produces the strongest result financially, and causes me the most hard work and strain, I guess you could say, personally, but also delivers a lovely benefit in the sense of the community customer side, because it's a very local market, and it has become over the 5 years a very community-minded place. But the community and my local customers my regular customers are really important to the business. They've kind of kept it going to a certain degree, or they've helped keep it going. I guess also I've used this to demonstrate that the physical location of the cafe and shop, which is not in the heart of Bondi, it's back in a back street, is probably something that both restricts it in terms of passing trade and therefore income that I can make that could then help me with some of the other challenges of business, but it's also a blessing in the sense that it lends itself very much to the kind of space that I wanted to create, which was welcoming and warm with a sense of calm. So not in the centre of frenetic, Hall Street or on Campbell Parade or what have you. So that is kind of how I was trying to illustrate that. But again, sometimes in this space, because it's very small and because while I love my customers dearly, me doing it all by myself and having made it very much about me because of the theme of the shop and the cafe, the things that I love, I do feel sometimes that I am in here nose to the grindstone and dealing very much with the practicalities of running a cafe, which is not necessarily that wasn't at the heart of what I set out to do in the first place. The whole concept as a whole, which was the cafe, the shop and the bar, was my initial aim. And that still very much exists, but this is the engineering of it. And this probably, while it delivers more return, it makes it harder than I would like it to be. This illustrates this smaller space, but which is pretty and green and flowery and interesting, illustrates the shop, which, truth be told, is probably where not because I'm more interested in retail, but because the whole Indian, Italian, the space, the vintage stuff, that kind of thing was probably what was the stronger driver in the first instance. And if I am truthful, the thing that I still love, whilst I love making a great cup of coffee and that is the bread and butter of the business, this is what I find more interesting, I guess. So that illustrates that. It's smaller, it's off to the side, it's calmer, it's prettier, but it doesn't make enough money to sustain itself. Out here are my tenants. So I have a beautician and a children's bookshop who rent space off me out in the back. And this is meant to indicate that I always need to stay, whilst that's a blessing because it helps pay for some of the rent, I need to stay very flexible, and I also need to keep an eye on I need to keep an eye on them. I need to consider the fact that their businesses are helping support my business, which can be, that's a great thing, but the energy and time that sometimes goes into keeping this link working and functioning and keeping them happy, and while I'm trying to do a million other things in the little engine room here with everything spinning, that can be challenging. Out here is Bondi Beach and the backyard of the very old apartment block that I'm in, which is a total blessing, and the location and the general setting is a really big positive thing for me, and it is also what helps, I think, the business function. It's a unique point about it. Its location is a unique point. Here behind, this is meant to illustrate my family and friends who really, because I'm doing it by myself, from a mental support perspective, are the backbone and have helped keep it afloat over the years. This is meant to illustrate the whole Indian-Italian thing, which is the whole raison d'etre of going into my own business and wanting to do a business to be surrounded by the things that I love. That is still the overriding thing. It's the thing that makes me not want to walk away from it, even though if you judged it by a traditional business, you would possibly say it doesn't cut the mustard. But at the heart of it is still that, and that's what kind of, with some of these other things, customers in the shop and good coffee and vino and what have you, but that unique thing which drove me to do it in the first place is still a huge foundation and pillar and support to keeping on going. This, I think, illustrates my brother's family who live down in Bondi, and without question, they help me keep me on. They spend enough money there to help keep the business going. But if I was to be really cut and dried about it and look for another location somewhere, not that I have gone down that path, being able to be close to them and to be close to my niece and nephews is a big driver, and I know that's not a traditional business thing, but for me, if they weren't there, I probably would have stopped by now, just from the difficulty of doing it all by myself and feeling totally, on my own. So that has to be a factor, but I don't know how relevant it is to. It's probably relevant to the next discussion. Over here is my little house in Grotty Glebe, which I love to death, and which is my castle and my refuge, where I go on Mondays and Tuesdays to hide, which is fantastic and which I still love doing, but which further long term, sustaining all of this by feeling like I'm good for not much on Mondays and Tuesdays because I'm not earning enough money to pay enough people to help this run better is an issue. So yes, that my home, and also the fact that I own my home, again, if we're looking at it from a business perspective, is probably a major reason why I can even still keep doing this, because this business does not generate enough for me to pay rent or a mortgage. So if we're going to talk about, I don't know, do we want to get into that nitty-gritty of...
We can go into whatever you want.
Not that it's nitty-gritty, but I think it informs some of the things when we talk about most ideal customer experience and most ideal perfect business experience. Bondi Beach is a huge thing down here, the water for me personally, to be able to go for a swim. I like the location. Yes, Bondi has its challenges, but on the whole, again, it informs how the whole thing runs. Okay. And I think that's superfluous. That's it.
Beautiful.
Great. Jude, that was beautiful. And I have a really intimate understanding of how it works.
I think it might have been TMI.
No. God, no.
It is quite hard to drill it down, but anyway. TMI on things that don't affect the business, but you did say, anyway.
No, but it absolutely does. So this is a big thing. This is a big thing. This is a revelation. What you've done here with the community, the location, being tethered, or not understanding what's happening with your tenants. We can see maybe like 4 different areas here which we can definitely help you with.
And that's before we even get onto some of the things. Like, I haven't gone into this in enough detail other than to say I love my regular customers, and I'm thankful that I am more local, further away from the beach, because again, in cold winters, a business of my size would not survive if I was down on Campbell Parade.
Sure.
And the customers are incredibly important, but they can also be incredibly draining, because again, I'm doing it by myself, and here I am trying to make conversation with everyone in a very tight space and give a lot of myself, which means that I need to retreat to the castle. But again, where some of the discussions we've had, if I could make this, I don't think the overall customer experience needs to be made better. I just need more of these to go out there. And how do I do that? Well, I'm trying to juggle.
What are these?
More customers. I need more customers, but still to be able to maintain.
What happens to this person if there are more of these?
She goes crazy and goes and lives in the castle forever. Or she can afford to pay good hospitality staff, which are very easy to find in
Mhm.
Sydney. And she has a more balanced life and can not feel like she's running around like a headless chook, which that's the other thing I was going to do, take this off too, which is what I feel like on many days. But then the next minute I'll also feel beautiful in this space that I've created, which people tell me every day, people tell me it's a beautiful space and I've got beautiful stuff and it's great coffee and that's fantastic. And I never got that kind of feedback when I was, you know, on such a regular basis when I was working for the Roo, taking home a salary. So, yeah.
Well, we might take a break.